now. And yeah, here we are for the Slav Talk Racing Japanese Grand Prix. I have the drivers in my ear, or some of the drivers in my ear. What drivers, I'll let you know of in due course. I have Flobolob, who is back after a bit of a hiatus. He's back in the car. Mental Sun is in the car as well today. So we have the two championship protagonists from last season at it again today. So Flobolob in the Alpine, Mental Sun in the Red Bull. And we also have Demonic Assassin, Mr. Tower, Smidge Bomb, Half-Lap Harry, Silent Assassin, and Mr. Moo, otherwise known as Coward Mocking, in the car today, in my ear today. The rest of them are not in my ear, so I won't be able to hear from them during the race, but yeah, it should be a good round of Slav Talk Racing. We had a frantic round in China, and we had the first collision between Luco Sioux and Randro. And why that's important, because Randro and Luco Sioux are both championship contenders. They are both the front two in the championship, and they collided in China. I lost the footage for it, so you know, that is such a shame. But yeah, we are back for Slav Talk then. I'm going to put up my, not the lap data and the track map. And yeah, we're going to see Luco Sioux heading up the S's in the number 8 V car. As yeah, going up for him, it should be a decent race for the V car driver. Meanwhile, the Ferrari of Derek Way here as well. He had a pretty tumultuous time in China with 2 spins on the exit of turn 9, both the second of which ending his race early after battling with both Mercedes of Luke Anarchy and Benold. Speaking of, we have Luke Anarchy out on track at the moment. He's actually going to be one of the first ones to set a lap in this session, a full push lap I mean. So yeah, in the pink helmet, he had a decent race in China after battling with Derek Way, and he got a little bit frustrated at some of the racecraft from Demonic Assassin and from Derek Way, but hopefully he can come back stronger today here in Japan in Suzuka. So let's see what the Mercedes man will do. There's Mercedes. They've already had a win in Japan in Formula 1 with Kimi Antonelli taking his second of what would be 3 wins in succession in the real-life 2026 Formula 1 season. But here on the 2025 cars, this Mercedes, Luke Anarchy, heading through the S's here in qualifying. And let's see what he can do. He's a little bit slidey heading through the S's section. Gets up that long left-hand curve, the Dunlop curve. And then into the Degner corners. Turn up the 50-meter board. And then brake. Try not lock the tyres up too much. Head under the track. And then this track being the only figure-of-8 track ever used in Formula 1, and only figure-of-8 track that is being used in Formula 1 at this point in time. It is a great and much-loved track. Here is Suzuka. There's the yellow flag with the Red Bull at the last corner, just spacing out, so there's no caution to be worried about there. Over the grass there for Luke Anarchy. You can see on his tyre collecting a little bit too much of the green stuff on the inside of the spoon curve. Heading up over the track in a second, over what would be the exit Degner curves. He's purple in Sector 2 because he's the only man who has set a Sector 2 time in the session so far, up until that white dot goes over that line. So we'll see if one of the Hasses can beat Luke Anarchy. Let's see, as Anarchy goes over the line, he sets the benchmark for the session at 1 minute 1 minute 29.2, should I say. Meanwhile, it's K9 Cube coming out of the final corner. Can he beat the benchmark time set by the Mercedes? The Toyota Haas does go faster by 0.2 of a second, so Toyota, or the Toyota Haas, should I say, doing well. Meanwhile, behind him is one of the McLarens, that's Randro. Meanwhile, Randro's championship rival does go to pole position by nearly, by over 2 seconds, ahead of K9 Cube, otherwise known as Jay Guti, in the Discord server. Meanwhile, Derek Way sets the worst time so far with a 1:29.9, and then comes one of the Alpines as Flobolob starting his lap with Benold just behind him in the other Mercedes. As we have one of the Saubers, that's K's, who's just finishing his outlap. We have Psycho Led going up the order into P5, so that Toyota Haas going quite well. Make that P6 because Cow's Mocking goes ahead of Derek Way. Great stuff by the Alpine. Half-Lap Harry takes pole position. The man who was so competitive in the race in China making moves for the lead everywhere. Now back up at the sharp end, a tenth ahead of Luko Sierks. Smidge Bomb up into P3 as well. He's been a little bit underrated by myself. I thought he was in the mid-pack, but oh, and there we go. Mental Sun back, and back in the normal qualifying form that he is normally in. The drivers in my ear, not surprised by that. As I heard one of them just go, wow, when they saw Mental Sun go up the order. All the drivers, they get a message at the top of their screen to say if someone has set a pole position lap. But Randro, the championship leader, behind Mental Sun by half a second. So these two, who battled in Brazil, remember, which resulted in a crash for these two, and Mental Sun came off worse, going behind Luko Sierks. As, yeah, let's see if they'll battle again into turn 1, because these two, when they battle, it is really good to watch. I have to say so myself. Flobbelob goes up into P5, great lap by the runner-up of last season's championship. He goes up behind the runner-up of this season's championship so far. As K's now going up into P7. Great lap by him in the Sauber. As meanwhile, heading over the line, that's one of the Haas's. It's K9Q coming into the pits. Meanwhile, I think Derek Quay is coming into the pits as well. Yes, he is. He's valid, so I reckon he's definitely coming into the pits. So Assassin struggling there as we have Pencil Sun going ahead of the Silent Assassin. As I think there's been maybe a little bit of contact in the pit lane. I'm just hearing in my ear one of the Red Bulls might have maybe run into the back of someone in the pit lane, unless I've misunderstood that, but there was a lot of laughing in the VC in my ear, so drivers are definitely amused by something. I'm not too sure what it is. I might ask them later on in the session. Meanwhile, Amansuki heading up the hill. He's been very decent as well. One of the best midfield drivers in this league so far in the season, and making amends for what was a poor season for Williams last time out, with Raikkonen being their stronghold up in 9th and 10th. But Amansuki has taken them to P5, P7, P6, all up in those positions, if not higher. Really competitive that. Meanwhile, Flobbelob then, he's coming into the pits, I suspect, along with Pace. Meanwhile, Silent Assassin is the only other one on track. He's 2 tenths down on his lap so far. There's one of the cars off. That is the Williams of Amansuki, letting him through via going on the grass, as nearly going off track there for Silent Assassin. As that is really going to cost him some time now. He's looking for a couple of hundredths of a second to get ahead of Luke Anarchy. I don't think he's going to find it at the moment, as those warm soft tyres are really costing him around this Suzuka track. As he spins! And oh, it's such a shame for him, as he goes down what was the pit entry of the 1990 Suzuka layout. But Silent Assassin, I think he was a bit too much under the brake, he put too much pressure on the brakes, and he locked the rear tyres and just spun the car around the corner. He's sighing with disappointment in my ear. He's not a fan of what just happened to him there. Meanwhile, Derek Quay on an outlap, along with half-lap Harry, Lucas here, Mental Sun, K9 Cube, and Cal Mocking, as Derek Quay going off around the very lenient corner on the exit, a hairpin. Very odd place to be going fine, I must say so myself. As we have one of the McLarens. Is that Randro? No, it's not. It's going to be Mr. Tower, who's done really well in races gone by. I haven't seen much of him this season, to be fair, but he's normally one of the more competitive drivers on the grid. But with 8 minute 52 to go, he starts his, oh no, he finishes his lap and goes up into P6, 4 tenths away from Flobbelob. So that's a great place to be starting. As meanwhile, one of the Haas is behind him, K9 Cube. He's starting the lap. Let's see what he can do with the Toyota Haas, the home race for Toyota, which is the car manufacturer branded all over this Haas car. And someone just went up the order then, and I'm not too sure who it was. Or am I just seeing things? I'm probably just seeing things, never mind. As heading over the Dunlop curve then, nearly a little bit of a loose end for K9Q, but he's 2 tenths down on Sector 1 then. That's not nice for him so far. But with 8 minutes to go in the session, I'm just going to redo the recording. Actually, it just ended, so here we go. Start recording. 3, 2, 1, and oh no, I've just realised I haven't plugged in the right thing. Hang on a sec. I can't get off the pause menu because my B button doesn't work, so I have to plug in my wheel, which will take 1, 2, 3, 4. Hang on, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds, and hang on, there we go. Right, off the screen now. Yellow flag in sector 1, there's a car off, one of the Hasses. The other Hass is spun at 130R dramatically. Gone straight through the 150 meter board, and is now the braking marker for the V car behind him. Very comical stuff. He nearly comes out onto the track in front of a Red Bull, but that is such a dramatic spin for K9 Cube. Meanwhile, we have Luco Sioux going up into P3 ahead of half lap Harry. But Harry, meanwhile, claps back and goes 2 tenths away from his teammates. A Red Bull 1-2 here in qualifying with 7 minutes to go. Meanwhile, Randro, just behind that, he's improving as well. He needs 3 tenths to make it a Red Bull 1-3, as there's one of the Mercedes off. That is Benold's, who has just gone off under the bridge of this very part of the track. So Randro over a tenth up now. Fastest man in the second sector of the racetrack heads into the Casio Triangle corner. Round the green triangle on the inside of that corner. And he now heads round the last bend and over the line. And he doesn't improve by enough. He goes a mere... or maybe he can get him on the next attempt. Meanwhile, I think Smidge Bomb's about to start a lap. Meanwhile, as well, one of the Williams ending an out lap. Benold's here. It looks like he's ending a flying lap. As Luke Anarchy, his teammate, retires from the session. Not a nice session for Anarchy. He starts 12th at best in this session. So Mercedes struggling in qualifying for the session, as that's why Benold is 12 seconds away from his fastest time, because he has damage on his front wing, which is a shame for him. Meanwhile, Alpha Parry into the Casio Triangle, cuts straight across that corner and skips the pit entry. Meanwhile, Luco Sioux letting one of the McLarens through. That wasn't Randro, that was Mr. Tower, who's just let through. Meanwhile, here comes Clobble then. I think he is on a flying lap. There's one of the Ferraris going off. That's Derek Way, who's just gone on the grass behind him. Meanwhile, over the Casio Triangle corners. And now accelerating towards the checkered line. And Clobble goes from 5th and stays at 5th. And he's only 3,000 away, 300s away from Luco Sioux. Very close gaps in this field so far. Hayes is just starting a lap. We have one of the Aston Martins with Smidge Bomb. He's ending his lap, and he's just got purple in sector 2 as well. So breaking at the 100 meter board into what is known as the Casio Triangle, which is this very bit here. The triangular green bit on the track. Heading out of the last corner, and then over the line. He stays in 8th. He improves his time, but he stays in 8th, and he is 2 tenths away from Mr. Tower, who is the nearest car in front of him in P7. Meanwhile, who else is on the map? The other Aston Martin, Silent Assassin. He's going a bit slower, but he is on a flying lap. Let's see if he can recover his time, but I don't think he will, because the fastest lap of the session would have ended by now, which is not ideal for Silent Assassin, who does come into the pits at the end of that lap. Meanwhile, Psycho Led's here. He's looking to improve his time as well as Cage. Let's have a look at him in the Sauber. Is he going to be able to do anything in this session to improve in the Kick Sauber with 4 minutes to go? As one of the Williams are off. That is Demonic Assassin off at the S's section. That's a shame for the Williams. It's into the Casio Triangle, 4Ks, over 1 curve, over 2 curve. The 99 Sauber not able to improve by enough and calls it a day, goes into the pits, and he might go out for another lap later on in the session. Well, who else is on a lap at the moment? Let's have a look. There's one of the drivers complaining about how slow someone's going. I'm not too sure what driver is complaining about. I'm not too sure who the driver is complaining about, should I say. I'm not too sure which driver is complaining, so... Demonic Assassin with front wing damage on that black and rainbow looking car. The Williams, and he's over the curb there. He's not having a nice time out on that track right now. He's coming into the pits sometime soon, isn't he? As meanwhile, we have on the Mercedes Benolds. Is he starting? Is he? Yeah, he is. Let's ride on board with Benolds then. We rode on board with his teammate Luke Anarchy, who is the only man to have retired from the session so far. He's also the man in P12 at the moment. He's behind his teammate Benolds, who's looking to go up the order, potentially ahead of Derek Way. He only needs 700ths of a second to get ahead of Derek, and he only needs a little bit more to get ahead of K9 Cube as well. So P9 is on the cards for Benolds provisionally if he can set a good enough lap. It's small margins for him to climb to get up into P9. It's a big margin for him to get up into P8, I have to say so myself. But let's see what he can do. He's purple in the first sector, according to the track map. That means he is the fastest of anyone near him, I believe, is heading now around this long, winding right-hander into what is known as the spoon curve, which is this left-hander coming up right now. He turns into the first part, nicely done. He does a bit of grass cutting on the inside of the end of the first part of the spoon curve, but he exits the spoon curve, uses all the curve he can on the exit to then run down towards the 130 mile an hour corner, or over 130 mile an hour corner, into the Caprio Triangle, down the gears, into third gear in the old Mercedes, picking up the gears, up to the line, and over the checkered line. He goes to P9, he does go up to P9, and only a few hundreds away from the stick bomb. Nice lap by the old, but will anyone be able to demote him from P9? They all have the chance to, as everyone else is in the second lap. So let's see, Luco Sioux is going to be the first one to start his lap. Let's see what he can do. Can he potentially get up into the top 3? He needs 3/10 to do so. And if he can, that will be very nice for him indeed. Heading through the S's. Turn 4, turn 5. And we've seen some great overtakes here in the past in real life racing and in sim racing as well. Many examples come to mind, such as retro racing and other things as well. Meanwhile, fastest man in sector 1 goes to Luco Sioux. Can he potentially pull that 6/10 deficit as Benolds is out of the session? He's spun in the background, and he is disqualified from qualifying. That's going to put him from 9th to 17th. That is a shocking thing to happen to Mercedes. That does mean Luke Anarchy goes up to at least P11. Charles Mockin retires from the session, so Luke Anarchy is definitely going to be ahead of Charles Mockin now. But heading up into 130R with -4 at a 127.6 at the moment. One of the Aston Martins going over the line. That Silent Assassin going 8/10 up ahead of his teammate by 400 per second. Here comes Luco Sioux then. He's in P4 at the moment, but he goes over the checkered line to go to P4 still. He doesn't go up any positions. That is such a shame for him. What about Mental Sun? The white Red Bull is back after the brutal Brazil that he was involved in, but he stays in pole position and improves to over half a second away from half a lap Harry. Can Harry respond to it? Not by enough. What about Radro, the championship leader versus the champion? Who will take pole? It's the champion of last season who is ahead of the championship leader of this season. Incredible for Radro. As incredible for Mental Sun as well. He's back into the foremost. Flobolob is disqualified as well. As Flobolob, the Alpine, goes down to the 16th place with Benolds. That is such a shame for him, I have to say so myself. As meanwhile, we have Mr. Tower then. Let's see what he can do. He's also parked to the side of the track, and he's also got disqualified for parking in a dangerous location. That is absolute drama. So that's the end of the session then. And Mental Sun takes pole position here in the figure of 8 track here in Suzuka. As Silent Assassin really happy with being in 7th for Aston Martin. He should be as well. Him and Smidge Bomb have done great for Aston Martin in P6, in P7 and P6, respectively. Nice stuff there, but 3/10 separates the champion from last season over the championship leader of this season. Incredible stuff. There's Half-Lap Harry ahead of Luko Siux as well, so the top four really close to each other. I have to say, that was an incredible session. As we have, as one of the drivers saying that there's going to be carnage at Town 1, quote, as per usual. So we could be on for some thrilling action here in Suzuka when we go racing at around 8 o'clock UK time, live time. If you're wondering what this is, it is a gear shifter because I'm learning to drive, so that's what that is. But anyway, to commemorate the country we're racing in today, in Japan, the beloved track of Suzuka, here's the Japanese national anthem. Day for the Slav Talk Racing Japanese Grand Prix, and we hope to stay on the air for what looks to be an incredible race with Mental Sun on pole position ahead of Randro. The two who battled in Brazil valiantly are about to do it again, but they have Half-Lap Harry and Luko Siux to keep them company, as well as people like Smidge Bomb, Cade, Sun Assassin, and more to challenge them in this Japanese Grand Prix. So let's see what they can do in this race, as I'm not too sure what to expect, but from what I know of Japanese Grand Prix of the past that I've commentated on, and also of other racing series that I've watched, it is normally either carnage or chaos at this track. So yeah, we should be in for a decent race, I have to say so myself. So yeah, it should be very nice indeed. McLaren looking to take some more wins especially after their incredible race in IndyCar with Christian Lundgaard doing an incredible last stint in the Sontio Grand Prix at the Indianapolis Road Course to take the win over David Malukas with an incredible move around the outside at turn 4 and 5. And hopefully Randro can look to replicate a similar drive here today in Japan for Slav Talk Racing. So, if the stream cuts off, I apologise in advance. And if the recording cuts off, then again, I apologise in advance. There's not a lot I can do about it. But all I can do is just hope for the best. Hope it doesn't cut off. And then if it does cut off, I'll have to restart it. And it's just a thing. So, it shouldn't cut off because I've just turned off. There's this monitor. And then there's another monitor over there that I was doing the national anthem on. That's gone off now. So, it shouldn't cut off anymore. But if it does, then I can't really control that. So, yeah, let's see what happens then. And should be a decent race indeed. I'm gonna ask some of the drivers what they think about today. So let me see. Let me see what the drivers are gonna say. Hello. So how just gonna ask a few of you like how the races are gonna go for the stream. So how do you think it's gonna go? Where do you think you'll finish? And things like that. No problem. Right, well have a good one then. I'll leave it to it. There we go. Right, so from what I heard, I think that was Dominic Assassin or Half Lap Harry, who just said if Mental Sun doesn't run away with it, then it should be a close race, and I reckon it will be, especially because the safety car chance around this track is quite high. I have to say so myself. Before you ask as well, yes, the drivers are in my ear with these earpieces. This is for my audio for the stream, so I can hear myself as well as the other drivers, so I can pick up on their information as well as my own information as well. So, all should be good then. So yeah, let me just make sure I've got the recording started. And I've just heard from one of the drivers, 5 minutes until rainfall. 5 minutes until rainfall. Absolute carnage. So this is going to be a little bit like the Dutch Grand Prix in 2023, when the rain started just after lap 1 and it caused chaos with all these drivers on dry tyres. This is going to be an interesting one, and it's going to equalise the cars, and it's going to prove who's the best driver in terms of car control around this place. Where's Randro gone? Randro is falling behind. He's disconnected. Randro disconnected, and he's now slow, really slow. This is really going to affect his race. The champion, one of the 2 championship protagonists, struggling here in Suzuka already, and the race hasn't even started yet. As someone's hit the wall, I've just heard. There's no chance of damage because of information that. There we go. So, that's all for now then. So the formation lap comes to an end. Silent Assassin overshooting his grid box. He's going to start from further back, as well as his teammates. So both Aston Martins struggling with their grid positions at the start. We're waiting for the final car of Renault to get into his grid slot before the start of what should be an incredible Japanese Grand Prix. Who will win? Make your guesses now, because we're about to find out in around 45 minutes time. So, the wait for the Japanese Grand Prix ends soon, because for Slav Talk Racing, we are away! And it's a decent start for the front 3, little bit of a tentative one for Luco Stierks, who looks to be pressured by Case heading through turn 1, but they head through, it looks quite clean, apart from a couple double abreast and 3 abreast further back in the field, as they've all got through cleanly around turn 1 and 2. Very nice to see indeed. as K's there not able to make a move, so the front six stay the same. Amansuki with a great start, getting ahead of Solid Assassin, who's making contact with the Mercedes. Amansuki nearly spins, that's nearly carnage for him. As now, side by side in the background, I think that was one of the Mercedes battling with Smidge Bomb, heading round the Degner curves. Smidge Bomb goes onto the gravel trap, that's nearly a huge chunk for him. Heading out the Degner curves into the hairpin, now the Toyota Haas battling with the Alpine Renaults, as one of them goes on the grass around the outside for the Haas on the medium tyres. That's Psycho Leds battling with Flobberlob. Meanwhile, Cal's mocking ahead of all of this, as wide for one of the Haas cars. That's Psycho Leds going down the order on the grass. He's now gone from, 13th to 16th. Absolute sad for him. As meanwhile, heading up the hill then, we have side by side there with Cal's Mockin and K9 Cube. This battle between Haas and Alpine raging on here on lap 1. And it's Cal's Mockin ahead of the Haas, but the Haas makes a dive bomb as K9 Cube with a big move at the Casio Triangle. Cal's Mockin not happy with it, as into the gravel for Luke Anarchy. He's not having a nice time there. But side by side between the two Alpine cars now, Demonic Assassin gets ahead of him, as I think Derek Wade just spun in the background of the last corner. That is such a shame for him. Heading round turn 1 and 2 for the second time in this race out of 27. That is a chaotic start. Meanwhile, further back, that is Bernald getting back ahead of Mr. Towers. So Bernald's going from 17th, he's now up into 15th. Great start by Flobberlob, who's gone from 16th all the way up to 11th already. He's already ahead of his teammate. So great start by him. Derek Way is spun at the Dunlop curve. He's on the grass. That is not the place to be parking at the S section. He is now going to be way back in the field. So the first big drama in this race comes with the Ferrari of Derek Way, who spun in China, and he's spun here in Japan as well when he's got damage. Such a shame for the Scuderia Ferrari driver. He's got a long race ahead of him to come back. He's on the gravel heading through the Degner curves. You have to, yeah, he's going to have to come into the pits. That will be a long recovery for Derek Way. He's going to be hoping for some sort of reset to the race, like a safety car or a red flag. As the Aston Martins now have the Williams of Amansuki in between them, as nearly into the back of Smidge Bomb is Amansuki. He's right on the back of the man in 6th. As we look behind the man in 6th, Smidge Bomb, these two who battled valiantly in China for a similar position, and now battling again as Amansuki now gets back past Smidge Bomb. But these two have battled for most of the season, from what I can remember. And it's showing as side by side with Cal's Mockin and, Flobberlob and K9 Cube. Flobberlob and K9 Cube battling, as Flobberlob not happy with K9 Cube reportedly moving on the straight too many times. So maybe that's a steward's inquiry that's coming up later on. Just heard that in my ear from the drivers. The driver himself is Derek Way, retires from the session in the pit lane. So no safety car for him, nothing else to work on for him. As side by side with Luco Siux, around the outside of Half Lap Harry. Is he going to get up into P3? No, he's not, but Half Lap Harry is under a lot of pressure from the V-car behind him, as the white V-car trying to catch up to the blue Red Bull. And is he going to be able to make the move? No, he's not. So that was really close stuff between the pair of them. And now K's looking to get in on the action as well. A three-way fight for third is brewing up here. But Derek Way, such a shame for him, as heading up into 130. Oh, this is always going to be dangerous. And it's the move is made by Luco Siuk. He's up into P3. Half Lap Harry has been passed by the white V-car driver and the runner-up in the championship. The man who's been fighting for this championship all season long. He took the lead of the championship in China, but lost it again, I'm pretty sure, in the last round in China. So as right outside of Half Lap Harry's not going to make that move stick. That was nearly a huge crash. As meanwhile, the side-by-side further back, as Flobberlob gets back up into the top 10 ahead of K9 Cube. Yeah, big shame for Derek Way, as that's the second retirement in a row for Derek Way. So he retired in China, he's retired in Japan. Not the best races in Asia, not the best Asian leg for Derek Way here in Slav Talk. As we have down the order there, there's a lot of battles and moves being lined up. Randro and Mental Sun still very close to each other indeed. We have Half Lap Harry now trying to fend off Kaze, as I think Half Lap Harry, I don't know what's up with him, but he seems to be struggling at the moment as someone has the yellow flag, and Mr. Tower is off. That's a big one for Mr. Tower. He's lost his entire front wing. What has happened is, from what I've heard, he's gone down the inside and had a bit of a crash. As I'm just trying to hear what's happening. He was side by side with someone and he's had a collision with someone. Not too sure who. It might have been Cowles Mockin in the Alpine, essentially, that he's had contact with. But that is a big drama for McLaren. So, big issues for Mr. Tower. Not as big as Derek Way, but hopefully he can recover from that later on in the race. Meanwhile, heading through the ashes, a bit of a slide there for the house. Meanwhile, Aminsuki gets ahead of Silent Assassin, and also Flobolov gets ahead of Luke Anarchy on the mediums, and Flobolov making up places from the back. And Flobolov, we know he can do a good comeback drive from his drive in Season 1 in Brazil, and he's showing a similar thing here in Japan, but heading around the S's section. Speaking of, we have Exat Max in the chat right now. Nice to see you, mate. The Green Army Formula 2 champion, the man with a lot of achievements in league racing. Current owner of Torque Titan Racing. If you want to join that, I'll leave a link below to the Discord server of that league if you would like to join that league, because the racing would be similar to this. It's a newer league as well. So, meanwhile, we have Half Lap Harry and Luco Siux still locking heads. The top two seem to have completely disappeared away from the people third and lower. Well, I think there is going to be a move made by Half Lap Harry on Luco Siux. He doesn't make the move there. Shifting down the gears, he's now got to try and make the move in Star 1, but he has to make sure he doesn't lose too much time because the Sabro Cage is right there to pick up the scraps. So, which Honda powered car is going to get into Star 1 first? It's going to be Half Lap Harry, who's ahead of Luco Siux. And he makes it a Red Bull 1-3, and the V car of Luco now further away from Randro. Randro and Luco Siux, the championship protagonists here in Slav Racing, as Demonica Saturn and K9 Cube swapping places, heading around turn 1 and 2. Got to restart the recording. 3, 2, 1, go. As here we are on lap 6, then on board with the Haskell of K9 Cube, who is losing downforce heading through the dust, as you can tell by the way the front of the car was sliding on the turning. As wide for one of the Aston Martins, Silent Assassin there struggling, and it looks like the rain is falling here in Suzuka. And when the rain falls, it pours here in Suzuka. As let's see then, will anyone get caught out by this? As we nearly had the Aston Martin and Silent Assassin going off, but will anyone else go off with this? So we head through them. As heading around the speed cars down the back car, let's keep an eye on the front two, see if any of them hit or not. Randro and Mental Sun both stay out at the moment. It looks a bit too dry to pit onto the wets at this stage, in my opinion, anyway. Into the pits for Smidge Bomb. He takes the gamble to go onto the intermediate tyres early, I believe. As with 20 laps to go, Smidge Bomb looking to gamble his race. Will it pay off, or will he have to pay back a huge deficit of time? Let's see. So it's green tyres for the green car of Smidge Bomb in the Aston Martin. Let's see what Smidge Bomb's times are. Keep an eye on this driver and if he's quick or not, because if he gets quick, everyone will dive into the pits for intermediate tyres. Meanwhile, we have the other Aston Martin trying to catch up to Flobolov. He had trouble at the Decker curve last lap. Let's see if he can catch up this lap. He doesn't go off this lap, he's a bit more conservative. Heading around that section, and he would be after going to the Travelers. Mr. Tower sets the fastest lap of the race on the dry tyres, I believe. Are they dry tyres? They are dry tyres, so the dry tyres still seem like the best tyre at the moment. But will that change soon enough for this mid-bomb to capitalize. I'm not too sure at this moment in time. I have to say so myself. We head through on the exit curve of Spoon Curve, heading under the town bridges, heading up over the bridge, over the track on this figure of 8 layout. Oh, as Half-Lap Harry there, nearly having a tank slapper of a slide that could have completely ended his race entirely. As the front two here closing up a lot now. It was 1.4 seconds a few laps ago. As you have Aminsuki getting passed by Flobberlob. As we have through nicely done there by Flobberlob on Aminsuki, who dropped the position now. Got Aminsuki in 7th, Flobberlob going from 16th to 6th. Great comeback drive by the Alpine driver. It reminds me of Golden Racing League, another race league that raced around Suzuka that I commentated on, which was an Alpine driver in changeable conditions charging up through the field to eventually finish in P2 in that race. I have footage of it on the YouTube channel if you're watching, so you can have a look at that if you'd like to. Heading down the long corner into the hairpin and into Spoon Curve then. Let's see, these two how about Harry there? Every time I see him with his car from the onboard, it is struggling to keep hold of that car. But he is holding onto the car, but barely. It's like he's wrestling an octopus around these corners. Just heading around 130R. Let's see, because he's closing a lot on the Red Bull driver. He's going to have a look on the outside, but no, he's not close enough to make a move. But Half-Lap Harry's struggling there. He gets touched by Luco Sierks. That is very frantic stuff between the pair of them. As can Luco now make the move in start 1? He's got to make it now, because otherwise Cage will try and capitalise off the pair of them. So around the outside of Half-Lap Harry, he's not going to make the move stick. It's because so Half-Lap Harry defending well from Luco. The white V car not able to make the move stick. Look at Cage here. He's right up close to the V car. Meanwhile, the Mercedes gets him past Kalsmokin. So that's Benold getting ahead. Meanwhile, the other Mercedes is ahead of Demonic Assassin. So Luke Anarchy in P9 at the moment. Where the battle for P3 rages on, and the changeable conditions making the drivers a little bit wearisome of the grip they'll have through each corner. It's like a rally at this stage, trying to guess how much grip you're going to have at each corner, as there's a yellow flag on the track, and it's Silent Assassin who's gone off. Where has he gone off? I'm not too sure. He's off at Degner. So Degner 2, the same place he went off 3 laps ago, he's gone off again. The number 3 Aston Martin spinning at Degner and going from, I believe he was P8. Now he's gone down to P11. Meanwhile, Luke Anarchy now looking to get back past him. Have a look, because from what I've heard from the drivers, the harder compounds in the wet conditions are apparently better. The harder compounded dry tyre are better in the wet conditions, according to the drivers in my ear at the moment. I don't have to reset. So we head through here on lap 10, on board with the McLaren of Randro. He's looking to get back past Mental Sun. Mental Sun has led from the start, not giving it up. As meanwhile, Silent Assassin dives into the pits. He becomes the second car to get onto intermediates. So him and his teammates both on intermediates now, I believe. What I've seen. No one else into intermediates yet, should I say. It's raining, it's sprinkling, but it's not raining hard enough for anyone to get onto wet, I don't think, as I think Hayes has made a mistake because he has dropped back massive compared to where he was a few laps ago. Heading around the hairpin. And, ooh, Lucas Yokes having a snap of oversteer on the exit of the hairpin. That looked a bit odd. He must have shifted up a gear and just spun the rear tyres up. But in doing so, he's now cost himself about half a second, if not more, to Half-Lap Harry, and he's not happy with that, from what I can hear him saying in my ear. Anyway. Cube. There's a couple of drivers saying that they're just sliding around every corner. Some of the drivers saying that they're quite comfortable at the moment. So as into the pits for Mental Sun, he pulls the trigger. What tyres does he go on? And will they be dry tyres or will they be the dreaded and treaded wet intermediate tyres? Let's see what will go on this white Red Bull Honda. It will be, are they dry tyres for Mental Sun? So the leader of this race, the man who's led from the start, is on hard tyres, even though there are sprinkles of rain on the track at the moment. So clearly it's not wet enough for wet tyres. As we have going past one of the Williams, that is, no, that's the Monica Assassin getting ahead of Luke Anarchy. Meanwhile, his teammate Amansuki has just come into the pits. Let's have a look at Amansuki actually, as I think Psycholez is, Psycholez just lost the position. No, K9Q, shall I say, has just lost the position to Cal's Mocking. Meanwhile, as Amansuki has come out well ahead of Smidge Bomb, so the intermediate tyres are definitely the wrong call, because Smidge Bomb has gone from battling with Amansuki to now, what, 5.7 seconds away from the Williams driver. That is a big shame for him. As into the hairpin then, tilting the car, and that's a great line by the Mercedes about Luke Anarchy to close up a lot of time to Mark Assassin. Not enough time, yeah, but off for one of the Williams. That is Amansuki on the drier tyres going off at the Degner corners. That's the same place where Assassin went off a couple of laps ago. So the Degner complex here into Luca catching out a lot of people at this point in time. Randro now comes into the pits. Let's see where he comes out in respect to Mental Sun. Mental Sun is that dark blue dot. It's going to be, so Mental Sun is this dark blue arrow. That orange dot near that arrow is Randro, and he comes out behind Mental Sun, but he's on slightly fresher tyres, so that could even help out later on. But the two leaders are both on hard tyres. So let's see if the rain will pour hard enough for these two to later in the race. The leaders from a couple laps ago are now 5th and 6th. They're behind Flobbelob, they're behind Case, they're behind Lucosiux, and they're now behind the race leader at the moment, Alpha Paragon. They won't be the leaders for long because they have to pit at least once in the next 20, in the next, what, 15 laps. As both fast cars have just come into the pits, and they're both on dry tyres from what I can see. Yep, both on dry tyres, as Mr. Tower on dry tyres. I've got to restart the recording. There we go. So, we have the McLaren here on board. Right on board with K9 Cube now. And we have Lucas Yux on Barry. Still front two in this race. Meanwhile, K's now has lost a lot of time to Flobbelob, and very smart. He comes into the pits before Flobbelob couldn't even make an attack. So he used Flobbelob as a reference point under his, and he's now on soft tyres. Very bold by K's in the Sauber. He's on soft tyres. I think he's the only man on soft tyres. Let me get the tyre graph. Yeah, so K's on the soft tyres. There's 6 laps. The top 6 are all on hard tyres, but the man in 7th is on soft. That's a very interesting myself. Sun Assassin has pit back onto hard tyres, so the intermediate tyre did not work out for Silent Assassin in the Aston Martin. Smidge Bomb has been on the intermediate tyres for 6 laps now, but it's not really worked out for him. I have to say to myself, as coming out behind Luke Anarchy now is Smidge Bomb. So Luke Anarchy in P11, Smidge Bomb in P12, K9 Cube goes up into P14 ahead of Mr. Towers. Tower there over the curb, struggling for grip. These are really sensitive conditions for these drivers to be on, because the really good drivers can say that this is fine, but the drivers who push it to the limit a little bit more, but they're going to find it a lot harder to make the call, especially drivers like Smidge Bomb and Amatsuki, loads of the midfield drivers who might struggle to read conditions. They're going to really be impacted by this. From what I'm hearing from what I'm hearing in my ear, the drivers who can go to lap 15 can easily do a one-stop compared to the other drivers who can't go that far. As there's a bit of a collision there. The Aston Martin cars colliding at Spoon Curve here on lap 14. So Smidge Bomb on the intermediates, Silent Assassin in the exact same car but on hard tyres, the hard dry tyres. They're side by side as heading around 130R. The two Aston Martins battling it out. It's down the inside now for Silent Assassin. He makes contact with Smidge Bomb, who tries to hang it out with his teammate but doesn't do so. As now heading down the straight, they going to swap positions again as the Mercedes swap places, but that's because Bernal has just come into the pits, so he's going to lose a lot of places now because of that. Mr. Tower retires from the session in the pit lane. That is a shame for him. Tower leaving the session. He's not had a great race. That's such a shame for him. He's such a good driver. He hopefully can redeem himself in the coming races. Meanwhile, heading through the Estes section, K9 Cube now catching up to Smidge Bomb, who is looking to defend from everyone here in this race. Is nearly spinning on the exit, on the entry, should I say, to Dunlop Curve. As heading into the Degner section. As wow, really wide. The Aston Martin, where's he ended up? He's coming back onto the track, but he is really handicapped on those tyres. That is a big disadvantage for him to have to overcome later on. We're on lap 15 now, so some of the drivers might be able to do one stops if they pit now. But it looks like the leaders are it looks like the two men who started on the front row are on two stop strategies. Is that going to be fast or not? I don't know. It looks like they're waiting to see if the rain will come down hard enough to make it any easier or not. Just going to check in the chat here. Not a lot being said about the race so far. All I'm hearing is the drivers in my ear. Yeah, it looks like they're all just discussing tyre wear at the moment because it is the pit window. The pit window is open with dry conditions, but because of this rain, it might have changed people's strategies. So Smidge Bomb, the only man in the intermediates, has gone from he was racing with Hamid Stuckey, who is now up into P8, but now because he's made the wrong tyre choice, he is now down in P14 out of 17 and struggling around this track. It looks like he has a puncture. He's sliding around that much. Meanwhile, the leaders, Mental Sun catching up to Flobberlop. Flobberlop hasn't hit yet, so Mental Sun on those hard tyres, all that boulder on tyres versus 14 that hard. There's Luca. Oh, Half-Lap Harry is spun on the exit of the Castillo Triangle. He just said it in my ear. That is a big drama for the Red Bull driver, who now gets passed by Flobberlop and Mental Sun and Randro, and now comes into the pits. What tyres does he go on? So, let's see. He's going to pit on some medium tyres. Just had it in my ear. Smidge Bomb has retired from the session. He's retired on track, so that won't go down well for stewards. Hitting on the medium tyres then is the Red Bull drama then. But Half-Lap Harry leading the race for so long and then comes into the pit after spinning. Lucas here takes the lead. And in all of that chaos, Mental Sun did get ahead of Flobberlob. So Red Bull on one side of the garage, drama, the other side of the garage, Eureka! For the white Red Bull of Mental Sun, the champion of last season, showing his worth, now catching up to the back of Lucas Yost. So one champion from last season in the senior Red Bull car, and the man driving the car that Mental Sun drove last season is ahead of him. Will Mental Sun be able to get ahead of the vehicle of Lucas Yost? That's another question. He's catching up rapidly on those fresher the fresher hard tyres, the prime tyres, compared to everyone else in this session so far. Compared to the medium tyres anyway. Case on the soft tyres, meanwhile, closing up to the back of Demonic Assassin. Assassin hasn't hit yet, but the highest assassin in this race, Demonic Assassin, in the black and blue Williams, should I say, being reined in by Case here. Further up the order, we have Brandro ahead of Flobberlop. As Cage just got ahead of Demonic Assassin at 130R. That's a great move by Cage in these changeable conditions. Meanwhile, look at how close Randro is to the back of Flobberlop down the inside for the McLaren on the Alpine. They almost touch here on lap 17, 10 laps to go, and they're starting to get their elbows out. Blob, who hasn't hit yet, now under a lot of dirt from Randro, who goes side by side through the S's section up into P3. That's a beautiful move by Randro. That is champion stuff by the McLaren, and I don't know what it is about McLarens this weekend, but they are pulling off great moves in very high speed and tight corners. Yesterday it was Christian Lundgaard in IndyCar pulling off that insane move at turn 4 around the Indianapolis road course. Here in Suzuka, Randro has pulled off magic to make that move on Flobbelob. Fair play to you. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead is heating up. Mental Sun catching up to the man driving his old car. Nico Siux past Mental Sun heading into 130R. Is it going to be a good move? No, he backs out of it last minute. They're heading into the Casio Triangle. No move made. As Nico Siux on tyres that are 10 laps older than Mental Sun. But now, with DRS, Mental Sun, Nico Siux doesn't hit yet, and Mental Sun gets ahead of the V-Curve driver. Great stuff by the Red Bull driver, but not as good as Randro, who just got ahead of Floblob, who is pit. Floblob in the pits now on 17 lap old hard tyres, now going onto medium tyres with 9 laps to go in this incredible race here in Suzuka. Right, heads out the pits here. Half up Harry. Is he going to get ahead of Floblob? He is. As meanwhile behind him, Dominic Assassin comes into the pits to come out potentially behind Luke Anarchy. Half up Harry gets a penalty for track limit warnings. That's a shame for the Red Bull driver, going from a little bit bad to a little bit worse for Red Bull. We head into the long 12 corners. Just heard one of the drivers go, whoa, and it's Half Lap Harry spinning again at turn 7. As that is a shame, and Half Lap Harry not happy with that, saying, oh, it's the second time it's happened to me. It's Half Lap Harry, who said that Suzuka was his best track, now not being able to show it in the best way due to these conditions. There's another tank slap of 4. Half Lap Harry, who's struggling for rear end stability in that Red Bull Honda. That might be a setup thing that's hurting him, because he's struggling. Half Lap Harry saying that he's just got one of them unsavable spins similar to the one that he had in Brazil. I don't quite remember what spin he's referring to. As into the pits for Luco Siux, going onto the medium tyres. Nicely done by him. The recording has stopped. Going to restart the recording. That should be for the penultimate time that will happen in this race. As meanwhile we have Kays here. If he's going to get ahead of Luco Siux, it'll be very tight on the exit. And he is just about on the outside of turn 1 going to get ahead of Luco Siux. Kays here on the soft tyres doing very well. Coming out on turn 2, Luco ahead. Luco behind Kays is looking to get ahead of the Sauber driver. The Sauber Audi versus the V-Carb Honda, ahead of the Alpine Renault as well. Flobbelob, this 3-way battle looks to be a good thing to watch. As into the pits for one of the Aston Martins, that's Silent Assassin, the only Aston Martin left in the race, pitting. It's going from hard tyres to medium tyres. Meanwhile, heading up the hill into the hairpin, down the gears for the Alpine Demonic Assassin. We have into the spoon curve with 8 laps to go. So probably about 12 minutes left in the race. Maybe 15 minutes left in the race actually, but the Alpine here trying to make a move to Luco Siux. 3 cars heading up to 130R. It's Kays, Luco, Flobbelob. Will it stay that way by the time they get to the Casio Triangle? To the outside for Luco. How deep on the brakes is he going to go? Deep, but not deep enough. As now, the Alpine looks to the outside of the V-Guard. They're 3 wide on the exit of the Casio Triangle. Luco gets forced out wide. And Flobbelob takes 2 positions in 1 corner on the final corner. As Kays now losing 2 positions as well as Luco Siux gets ahead of the Sauber. but at the cost of losing the place to Flubberlob. So, incredible. So, Luco gained the place on the Sauber, but he's also lost the place to the Alpine of Flubberlob. So, it's one of the drivers just heard in my ear, not happy with the conditions. Just saying if it will be dry or if it will be wet, but he's not happy that it's a little bit of both today. We're heading out to the Castillo Triangle, 7 laps to go. In this race, the Alpine Renault trying to catch up to the Haas, the Toyota Haas. There's nobody on inters at this point, as the driver's asking, just being confirmed, and you can also see on the graphic, nobody on the intermediate tyres at this stage. Meanwhile, because these rookies are going to come into the podium place that he nearly did when Pace was in front of him, but Blob came in and took that position by storm. We head to the 130 yard corner. We have one of the Alpines here of Cow's Mocking, who's looking to get ahead of Psycho Leds. All wide for Leds, who picked up a penalty. That's gonna put Cow's Mocking ahead of the Toyota Haas driver. I'm going to put up the penalties on the screen so you can see, as at the moment, Psycho Leds would finish on aggregate behind Silent Assassin as well. So down the inside for Cow's Mocking, who gets ahead of the Toyota Haas. So the Alpine versus Haas battle goes in favour of Alpine at the moment. As one Alpine is in third, the other one as Lucas Siux spins! Lucas Siux! The man who's battling for third has spun into fifth, and now potentially is going to lose out to Amansuki as well. So just like Half-Lap Harry earlier on, Luco Siux spins and loses a bucket load of time and 2 positions. So that is such a shame for the man who looks to be the champion at the end of the season. But Randro now going to get a big haul of points over his championship rival. Meanwhile, Amansuki now trying to chase after Luco, and Luco, who was trying to chase after Flobberlob, is now the man being chased. Meanwhile, we have the Alpine, the Williams, should I say, of the Demonic Assassin. So that was the P8 and P9 between Luke Anarchy, who is P8, versus Demonic Assassin, who is P9. They're on lap 22 after 27. As into Spoon Curve then. 68. Williams going to be able to do anything? No. Blue and black. Williams might make any kind of move stick. At the moment, he's staying close to the Mercedes, but he's not close enough to make a move stick. As we have also Mental Sun catching up to lap the Haas of Psycho Leds. A great race by Mental as K's into the pits, a late pit stop for K's. He's not able to take those soft tyres long enough, and he's pit onto, are they medium tyres? What tyres are they? I can't tell what tyres they are. They are intermediate tyres for the Sauber driver. So another green car onto another set of the green tyres. Is it going to work this time round? Unlike it did for Smith Bomb. It might do, it might not. Only time will tell. As Demonic Assassin is ahead of Luke Anarchy now. So the Williams ahead of the Mercedes. As we have Fitzbernolds gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I just heard that from one of the drivers. As now he pits onto the soft tyres. He might be going past this lap, or he's just going for a quick second stint in this, a quick last stint in this race. As either way, he's saying he might be able to appeal it, but to be fair, he's not going to lose a lot. He's only going to lose to. He's not going to lose to anyone because Psycho Leds has penalties as well. So he might be able to appeal it, but it might even be worth it. As now we head up the order, everyone's spaced out now with 4 laps to go. So about, I want to say 7 minutes left in this race before we get to the podium ceremony and the end of the race. Just heading to the heading into the next few corners. Out of the Castillo Triangle around the last corner. is Case then. He's looking to get ahead of the Mercedes. Andro being very competent in this race. We haven't really spoken to him he since he got hit of Flobble, but he's pulled away nicely, but he's not able to catch up to Mental Sun yet. It's just Mental Sun's been able to manage that gap well all race of Baron Driver. Sun Assassin not happy with the 3-second penalty that he's just got, although it won't affect him by the end of the race. At this stage, as half lap Harry there, nearly having a big spin again up the top curve. He collected the grass a lot. And he's now lost so much time that Demonic Assassin is now within his penalty window. So Demonic Assassin on aggregate would be able to get P6 over the Red Bull driver. The pass of Cycle Ed, he's just being lapped by one of the McLarens. That's about what you're seeing with the orange dot and the white dot on the map. Head of the pass goes Randro. Randro going a little bit wide. A bit of time. But the second part of the first very calm stages in the race so far with 3 laps to go. Very settled indeed. Let's have a look at the position changes of the race. As Lobolov coming up 12 positions in the race so far. Very nicely done by the Alpine man, going from 16th to 3rd in this race. After being disqualified from qualifying as he was looking to start in, I believe, P6. Ended up getting disqualified from qualifying, along with Benold and Mr. Tower, for parking in a dangerous location. So 3 drivers got disqualified. He's done the best out of the 3 who got disqualified from the qualifying session. The 3 drivers that had to come back, he's definitely done the best. Meanwhile, honourable mentions go to Amitsuki, who's gone from 9th to 5th. Assassin hoping that Alpha Mario would spin on the asses there. So I hear say that is. Let's see if that's the one Assassin. Amitsuki's more blue Williams. The one Assassin has more black Williams. Meanwhile, the dark blue Red Bull going again. Does he have a problem with that? I think he does, on that sidewall end plate, but on the driver's left-hand side. He does. He has front wing damage on that right side of the front wing on the picture. The sidewall is damaged, so with 2 laps to go, that gap could close down. Could have a last lap battle for P5, no, P6 should I say, between them. It won't come to anything because, as I said earlier, as the recording stops, I'm going to restart that. 3, 2, 1, go. As I was saying, the penalty for half parry already puts him below Dominic Assassin and potentially, no, he's not behind Luganaki yet. Luganaki needs to catch up by another second to catch up to the Red Bull driver. Oh no, not he needs only 3/10. Parry is quite slow in the action with that damage. He's lost about half a second and he's now on the grass. As the Demonic Assassin now, could he make the last move? As the yellow flag. Who's that for? I'm not too sure. I think it was for Benoit. I'm not too sure. I was looking to see if it was Mental Sun, but it wasn't. Oh, it was the Demonic Assassin who spun. No, it's Sun Assassin. There. That's fun. Just had it in my ear. Now K9 keeps catching up. See this battle. K9 catching up to Silent. We will get ahead. Silent gets a penalty, and that's going to drop him behind K9 Cube. As Silent Assassin saying his brake bias is way too low. And now Assassin now under pressure from K9 Cube. Cube will get ahead of him nonetheless as long as he can stay close. Lap 26 out of 27. The Aston Martin of Silent being caught up by K9, but K9 not able to make any move stick, but Silent Assassin saying the penalty was mainly incurred by hitting one of those curbs and not being able to rotate away from it. Meanwhile, look at this. The Williams catching up to the Red Bull. Half lap Harry under a lot of pressure from Demonic Assassin. Assassin who started in 14th place, looking to go up into 6th. He will go up into 6th anyway due to the penalty that Half Lap Harry is incurred, and Half Lap Harry is off over the grass. And Demonic Assassin gets ahead of the Red Bull driver. It's a Williams 5-6 here in Suzuka. As now, Half Lap Harry struggling over the grass and over the dirt. As the Mercedes of Benold lets Mental Sun go through. Meanwhile, speaking of Mental Sun, let's cover him for a second. As he has had a dominant performance here in Suzuka. He's had a few races off. He's dropped to a reserve driver role here in Slav Talk for this season after winning the championship in Australia, the penultimate race of last season. Heading through as we have K9 Cube here looking for the move on Silent Assassin. He's gone a bit wide there. There's a spin for Benold on the Dunlop curve. That's a shame for him. Meanwhile, on the inside for K9 Cube, nearly grass collected by the Haas driver, who does make the move on the Aston Martin. The Toyota Haas gets ahead of the Aston Martin around the long leading curve. There's contact and in the wall for Silent Assassin, who DNFs. That's a big crash for the Aston Martin on the final lap of the race. That is such a shame, heading through such a long and nothing corner until you're side by side, especially in changeable conditions. As Silent Assassin saying it was going to be a P11, and it was. But now he's going to finish, not going to finish in P14. Here is the man who is going to finish first with Mental Sun into the Casio Triangle. 3 corners to go for Mental Sun. He's come back and made his mark known. Mental Sun wins the Japanese Grand Prix for Slav Talk Racing ahead of the McLaren of Randro. Then, from 16th on the grid, Flobolob will climb 12 places to get ahead of Luco Sioux, who spun earlier on, and pick up the final spot on the infamous podium here in Suzuka. Meanwhile, Luco Sioux will head round the Casio Triangle and pick up a P4. He's lost a couple points to his championship rival Randro. Let's see if he can redeem himself next time out. As meanwhile, great race for Williams. They're going to pick up a P5 and a P6 respectively. Amansuki will beat out Demonic Assassin in the Williams battle, but P5 and P6 go to the Williams crew, as Luke Anarchy should get ahead of Half Lap Harry due to the penalty. So it's Luke Anarchy in 7th and Half Lap Harry in 8th. Meanwhile, K's heading round in P9, but Half Lap Harry finishes in 8th on the figure of 8. Meanwhile, P9 for the Sauber of K's, who did an alternative strategy. The only man who went for soft tyres in this race in the first 20 laps before losing time completely. Meanwhile, Carlos Malkin makes it an Alpine 310 in the end of the race. And then the final man to finish, the man in P11 out of the 13 finishers, it's K9 Cube to end the race in his home-driven Toyota Haas. That is the end of what was an incredible Slav Talk Racing Japanese Grand Prix, won by the champion of last season, Mental Sun, the reigning champion, defending his crown well by coming back and hitting the field with an absolute barnstormer of dominance in this Suzuka race. The Polish man is on the top step of the podium. And it's the trophy on top of the pedestal over his Red Bull team. What a race, as the front two of last season on the podium, along with the man who is on top of the championship this season. So, thank you all ever so much for watching the Slav Talk Racing Japanese Grand Prix. I will see you all in the next race next week on the 17th of May 2026, the day after the Gladiator Speedway, Scunthorpe Scorpions versus Plymouth Gladiators at the Coliseum at the Speedway. So, I'll be there, and then the day after, I'll be commentating on the next round of this championship. It's been a pleasure to commentate on. Thank you again to Arimus and to Slav Talk for having me again. I'll see you all next time. Thank you all for watching. And goodbye.